Now I'd like to take the time to talk about the landscape that surrounds small businesses today. There's a lot of things, especially advantages that small businesses have to help them succeed and thrive, and then there's also challenges. So when we're talking about profitability, it's really smart to understand, okay, what does this landscape look like? How are we going to play? Where won't we play? What will we do? What won't we do? There's a lot out there that you need to consider. And right, so the health of your business is not just your business, it's the whole community economy, the national economy, it's the technology and digital trends that are out there. So we're going to go ahead and just cover those so you can understand what factors are at play that are going to affect your profitability. And that is what this section is going to cover. So let's dive in. The first three trends that we're going to talk about are technology, customer expectations, and the rise of e-commerce. So let's go into them a little bit more. So with technology, it's what's known as a double-edged sword today, because on the one hand, technology offers powerful tools like marketing, communication, data analysis. However, on the other hand, it can really disrupt your traditional business model and require you to continuously adapt. So there's ways that you can continue to grow, but if you just aren't paying attention to technology, what used to work may not work in the short-term future. You have to be really sharp about this stuff because technology is just moving so quickly now. And then on customer expectations, customers are getting needier and more specific about what they want from their businesses that they support each day. Customers are no longer complacent. They're getting increasingly demanding. They want more personalized experience. They want convenience. Now they want social responsibility. So of all of these types of things, you got to figure out how your business is going to be able to figure out what your customers want and how you're going to deliver and what you're going to deliver to them. At the same time, you got to decide what you aren't going to deliver because it's just not within your wheelhouse or it's going to affect profitability too much and not have an overall great impact on profits. So you could do something, it may feel right, but if it doesn't affect profitability, maybe it's something you don't consider. And then of course we have number 3, the rise of e-commerce. And e-commerce means that there's more online shopping going on today. And if you haven't delved into online commerce, it's definitely something worth looking into, especially if you sell products or services. You've got to get the word out. You've got to find different ways to let people know what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what your value proposition is. Now let's talk about some of the challenges that small businesses face. And there's 3 here I want to talk about. Securing funding, competing with established players, and managing cash flow. Well, we know that for small businesses, getting good funding sources can be really challenging. Some banks want you to be big and successful before they're able to fund you, but it's like the chicken and the egg problem. Well, I need funding so I can become big and successful, right? Let's not wait, and that's where it becomes challenging. So entrepreneurs may have to get more creative with figuring out how they're going to get financing, what the right options are, what the right relationships are. It may be different than larger businesses and the options that they have. So more creativity is probably needed here. And same thing when you're competing with established players. It's good to be small, but then you have your giant and your David and Goliath problem, where sometimes you're too small to compete. So you've really got to figure out where you can play and where you can't play. And then number 3 is managing cash flow. We talked about how challenging it is to always make sure you have enough profit margin so that you have enough cash. And then just adding on to that is the economic factors that come into play now. So you can have a great little business, but if something comes out of left field and upsets or disrupts your business, you've got to make sure you still have cash coming in the door. So those are some challenges that small businesses are facing. Because they're not bigger, you don't have a huge stockpile of cash you can just rest your laurels on. You've really got to be thinking about how do we optimize what we have today so that we can succeed in the long term. If we're talking about how we overcome those challenges, that's going to be the key to your success. There's 3 things I want you to do. I want you to embrace innovation. I want you to focus on building a strong brand. I want you to prioritize customer service. We talked about what people are expecting now and how we're going to adapt to this world that's constantly changing. So actually, if we think about it, when it comes to innovation, being small isn't something that's not in our favor. It's actually a good thing. If we're smaller, we're nimbler, we can adjust faster, we can learn faster. And for a bigger business, it just takes so much longer to recognize these trends and being able to adapt it into their business. So you want to look for innovation and really be quick to jump on it. And at the same time, you want to ensure that your business is doing all the things that you can to develop a strong brand. And that's where your brand tells people what you are, who you are, what you do, how you serve them. All those different pieces need to be really clear. So when they think of, CFO Consultants, my company, it's okay. These guys are really great at serving small to mid-sized businesses. They do X, Y, Z. We know the price range. We know if it's a fit. If you don't have a brand, it's just going to create more obstacles in your way to be able to connect and resonate with your potential and current clients. And same thing with customer service. With larger organizations, it's easier to get stuck in the churn of things. So if you're able to use your size to provide an outstanding experience that surpasses the big guys, you're going to have a chance of winning here. Another key factor that small business owners need to consider, that when they're trying to put all these pieces together and understand the landscape and profitability and how they're going to succeed, is understanding that you're not alone. If you're trying to figure out what's working and all the different pieces in between, the best thing that you can probably do, in my opinion, is to find a community. Find people who are facing similar challenges, who have similar businesses, who are where you are, and that you can talk with them and figure out ways to navigate this pathway. You definitely don't want to go alone. And like they say, there's strength and power in numbers. So focus on that and figure out how you can use, what the bigger organizations can't do to your advantage. And that's one of the things that you can do here is really tap into the community around you. Next, I want to talk about a few more of the wider trends that are affecting the small business environment. So there's 3 things here I think that you definitely need to keep in the top of your mind: digital transformation, sustainability, and remote work and flexibility. So with small businesses, you have to really seek to stay competitive with the digital technology stack that's out there today. Whether you're talking about cloud computing, social media marketing, digital tools just offer a way to find and reach customers, streamline operations, and reduce costs. So no matter what business you're in, it's something that you need to be thinking about. Same thing with sustainability. This is a newer trend where customers are increasingly favoring businesses that prioritize sustainability and social responsibility. And this shift allows small businesses to differentiate themselves and adopt eco-friendly practices that give back to their communities. And when people find businesses that resonate with their values, they're more likely to support them. And then finally, remote work and flexibility have really impacted the small business world, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic, because it's accelerated the trend towards remote work, influencing how, when, where that businesses operate. Small businesses have the agility to adapt to these changes, however, which offers flexibility that allow you to now compete and win against big organizations for talent and to help you reduce your overhead costs. So those are things you have to have at the top of your mind if we're thinking about how we improve our profitability. And so there's 3 more challenges that affect the wider environment I want you to think about that are going to affect your profitability. We talked about the access to capital. So financing remains a significant hurdle for many small business owners, particularly startup and minority-owned businesses. The challenge lies in meeting the strict criteria set by traditional lenders and navigating the complex landscape of funding options. There's competition. Competition seems to keep increasing. Small businesses often compete with larger corporations that have more resources, better brand recognition, and just a better market reach. So developing a unique value proposition and leveraging niche markets can help small businesses compete more effectively. And finally, there's a regulatory compliance element. If you're able to navigate the maze of government regulations and compliance requirements that can be daunting, you're going to be able to succeed. But this is just so much to be able to wrap your mind around. The challenge is really in staying informed, and I think seeking out expert advice when you don't know and something's just beyond your capabilities and wheelhouse to figure out, and especially in a timely manner.